Alrighty. So, hey everybody. I'm Jim over here at RPG Enlightenment, and this is my first video on Thunderwave. And it's basically just an improv off the bat, off the top of my head, storm, where I take a picture off the internet that I find, something that draws my interest, something that gives me inspiration, and I'm going to create something live for y'all just on the spot. So let's screen share real quick. And it should be up. All right, and over here on Google, and something that, to look up is just, I've used it before, it's just fantasy art. And just go through until we find something that's interesting. I mean, of course, there you could use really any of these pictures, but I'm just trying to find something that really stands out to me. It gives me something to do. While I'm looking, really, I'm just going to be using this stream or this series, so mini series, to help me come up with some ideas, and maybe some of y'all to come up with some ideas to use in a game, a one-shot, a campaign, and it's all just based off of a picture. It's really standing out to me right now. Let's see. What was that? And as Josh kind of mentioned in our introductory video, I kind of lean towards more of the darker side of things. So y'all will probably notice that a lot of the things I tend to come up with are of that nature. They're a little bit more twisted and I guess evil in nature. But maybe let's try that. Let's see if maybe that inspires me more. Dark fantasy art. I mean, that's kind of cool. Let's use that. All right. So this is the image that I'm going to use. Let's see what I can come up with. So off the bat, we're going to go, the first thing that comes to mind is undead. But, oh, screen sharing. Oh, no. Okay. Beginner mistake. It happens. All right. So the first thing that that comes to mind is undead. But, maybe we want to go in a different direction with it. Because if you describe this to your players, that might be the first thing that comes to their mind too. And it's always good to throw in a little twist. So what if there's several of these skeletal remains of horsemen uh, just standing all around. And there's some kind of event that triggers, maybe kind of like a magical trap that actually reanimates them, but it doesn't just bring uh, the skeletal forms themselves to life. It actually puts muscle and flesh and blood back onto the bones. So they actually become 100% living again. I kind of like that idea where first thing that comes to my mind is what is it called? It's like a Draco Lich gem. I believe that's I read something about. I believe that's what it's called, but that whenever a dragon is killed within a certain distance of this gem, it's reanimated as a Draco Lich. Maybe it's something similar to that, where there's a crystal or a gem in the center of several of these things. And once it is removed from its pedestal, then these things begin to come back to life. And I think that'd be a really cool scene to describe. You know, you're seeing these old skeletal forms begin to regrow the tendons and the muscle and the veins and begin to actually animate. I think that would be pretty interesting. And then you can even go a step further and kind of inspired by these almost like winged skulls, because it's not a helmet. It's almost, it looks like it's a part of the actual skull. So, you know, you can make these things different races. And that just makes me think of Aarakocra for some reason, I guess, because it looks like wings. But, you know, you could make them a completely different race or actual races instead of, you know, just being, oh, well, they're human, or, you know, or they're just one type of race. They're multiple different types of races. That way, you know, you have a little bit of variety in there. Let's see. Yeah. And I would probably say, you know, you could always have them all come back at once, or you could have them come back one at a time, just to, depending on what you're trying to do. If you want a long drawn out combat that's dangerous, you know, put them all one at a time. Or if you want just a really dangerous encounter, you could have them come back all at one time, like at the exact same time. But yeah. So, yeah. So that's just an encounter idea based off of this picture, something that is off the top of my head. But, you know, I think that I might want to go for a little bit longer, just because that wasn't a whole lot. Let's see what else we have. Got a couple of different things here. Trying to get one more in real quick. That kind of looks interesting. All right. And I think this is something that I might actually use for my campaign world. This is a cult. And I think cult might be too maybe derogatory of a word. I think it's more of a religion. Uh, and I'm thinking specifically to where creatures like throats. Um, and it's probably a known religion, but it's one of those religions that you it's more like a rumor or a myth. People really don't believe it exists. Uh, Especially because, like in the picture, when they gather, they're in their bestial forms, in their hybrid forms. So I would think that people at seeing that would legitimately think beast, that they don't have any kind of human remnants. So I think this kind of gives it a little bit of uh, diversity with or unexpectedness for these things meet in this form. They come together as beasts to prey, maybe to a specific god or goddess, or maybe even just to the hunt itself. Um, Looks like they're performing some kind of ritual. Uh, and instead of going with like the obvious that it kind of looks like it's some kind of sacrifice, I'm going to go with this is actually their version of like a christening. This child, this baby, is actually like a throat. It's newborn, and this is them initiating it into the religion. This is, like I said, the christening of it. So it's actually got blood from a fresh kill, and they are just gathered to celebrate the birth of this child, which actually adds an element of peacefulness to it. Even though it is kind of dark, they're submerging it in like blood, but they're at least kind of being civilized about it. Then again, the blood could be that of like, a human or a dwarf or elf or something along those lines. It may not be an animal. But yeah, so that's just some stuff off the top of my head. And let's see if we can go back. Hi, guys. Sorry about that little mishap to begin with. Never done this before, so it's going to take a little bit getting used to. But that is Thunderwave. I just kind of came up with something off the top of my head. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And like, share, subscribe, and may you always seek enlightenment.